I'm Brian Warshaw, and this is Yesterday's News. Sea of Stars, the Image book from Jason Aaron, Dennis Hopeless Hallam, and Stephen Green. It's an outstanding book. Jay and I loved it. We talked about it on the podcast. Anyway, apparently we're not the only ones that loved it. It is going back for a second printing. So Image is sending it back. I believe we might have a look at the second cover. I think this is the second printing cover. So not a whole lot different. It's mainly the color. I believe the original #1 cover might have had some more purpley stuff in there. I have it too. I just don't have it in hand at the moment. But anyway, this was an excellent debut. Fantastic art. Very imaginative from Green. So if you have not read it, you have an opportunity now to go ahead and pick up a second printing. And you ought to do that. Next up, Rob Guillory's Farmhand. This is also an Image Comics series. Farmhand is being optioned for a TV series on AMC. Maybe AMC is kind of hoping that they've got the next Walking Dead on their hands. And so, yeah, I've not read Farmhand. Let me know if you have in the comments and what you think about it. But the basic idea is, well, there's a farmer who's growing body parts. So farmhand, human hand. Anyway, you get the idea. So farmhand is being optioned. Like I said, I haven't read this. Let me know in the comments if you have, and if I ought to, if this is something that you would recommend, and I'll check it out, and maybe Jay will check it out, and maybe we'll talk about it on a podcast if it's something we want to talk about. Finally today, ROM Space Knight has had something of a resurgence in the past few years. I don't know quite how well it's been selling, but there have been some ROM titles coming out. And Chris Ryall, the chief creative officer of IDW Publishing, rather. Chris Ryall has been responsible for some of those resurgent ROM books, and now he's going to be writing a 3-issue miniseries kind of in celebration of the 50-year anniversary of the moon landing, and this puts an interesting twist on there. So basically, the astronauts made it past the initial nail-biting journey. I'm right down here. With a speedy liftoff from Merritt Island, they were thrown left and right against their straps in spasmodic little jerks as they rode into orbit and steered insanely fast into space. But that would not be the biggest challenge they would face. As they set foot on the moon, they found something inhuman waiting for them, ready to hitch a ride back to Earth. With ROM the Space Knight seemingly nowhere in sight, only a handful of intrepid astronauts can prevent one giant leap for dire wraith kind. So ROM is another one that I just haven't read any. I've heard lots of people talk about it with affection from old ROM stories in the past. Again, let me know in the comments, are you a fan of ROM Space Knight? Should I be checking these sorts of things out? And if you are a fan, you can find this book coming out, when's it coming, guys? October, I think? Yeah, I can read. This is a great video where I'm scrolling looking for a video. Yeah, anyway, I'm almost certain it's coming out in October, and you guys can find it then. That's going to do it for us today on this edition of Yesterday's News. You can find us at Comics Now Cast on Twitter, search for Comics Now on Facebook, at Comics Now Cast on Instagram, and youtube.com/ComicsNowCast. And you can find us here on the web at comics-now.com. I'm Brian Warshaw, and this is Yesterday's News.